The famine kept going for another year. Israel gathered his sons and said to them, "You must go back and buy us more food." But Judah said to him, "The Egyptian ruler Zaphenath warned us that unless we take Benjamin with us, we cannot buy anything in Egypt." Israel asked, "Why did you bring this trouble on me by telling the man you had another brother?" The brothers replied, "Well, he seemed very interested in our family. He asked so many questions about us and about you." They waited for a few more weeks, but the famine continued. Their father Israel gathered them together again and said, "If it must be, then do this. Just take huge amounts of gifts, food, silver, spices, and take Benjamin too, and go back to the man at once. And may God Almighty grant you mercy before that Zaphenath, so that he will let our Simeon and our Benjamin come back with you. As for me, my heart is breaking." The brothers arrived in Egypt, and after several days they finally got to the front of the queue to buy grain again. Joseph noticed them immediately and saw that Benjamin was with them. He stopped what he was doing and called to his assistant nearby, "Take those men to my house, slaughter an animal, and prepare a meal. This day they are to eat lunch with me." Joseph's assistant did as he was told and took the men to Joseph's huge house. The brothers were very worried and scared. They thought they were going to be punished for the silver that had been put back in their bags on their last visit. "It's all right," the assistant said to them. "Don't be afraid." And he took them into Joseph's house and gave them water to wash their feet and had a servant care for their donkeys. He also brought Simeon out of prison and to the house with all the other brothers for lunch. When Joseph came home, the brothers presented to him the gifts they'd brought and bowed down before him to the ground again. Joseph asked through his interpreter, "How is your aged father you told me about before? Is he still alive?" They replied, "Our father is still living and well." And they bowed down low again, prostrating themselves before him. Joseph saw his brother Benjamin, his own mother's son. "Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about?" "Yes," they replied. Joseph looked at Benjamin in the eyes and through his interpreter said, "God be gracious to you, my son." Joseph was so deeply moved at the sight of his brother that he suddenly had to hurry out of the room and find somewhere to weep quietly. He went into his private room and wept there. And then he washed his face, put his makeup back on, and came out. Controlling himself, he said, "Serve the food." While they were all eating, Joseph told his head servant in the Egyptian language, "Fill the men's sacks with as much food as they can carry, and put each man's silver in the mouth of his sack again. Then put my own cup, my special silver one, in the mouth of the youngest one's sack, along with the silver for his grain." And the assistant did as Joseph said. So, a few days later, when the men were halfway journeying back to their father, trying to understand why the Egyptian commander treated them so strangely, they noticed a cloud of dust coming behind them. It was a group of men on camels racing toward them from Egypt. The group of men arrived and they looked like soldiers, each one carrying a sword. The leader of the group jumped down quickly and marched straight up to them. It was Joseph's head assistant, and he said to them, "Thieves! One of you has taken my master's silver cup. Whoever is found to have it will become his slave." They all opened their sacks, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. At this, the brothers started tearing their clothes and groaning. They all loaded their donkeys and returned to Egypt with the soldiers. The brothers entered Joseph's house again and threw themselves to the ground again before him. Joseph said to them, "What is this you have done? The guilty one will be my slave." And then his brother Judah knelt down before him and pleaded, "Sir, pardon your servant, my lord, but our father had this youngest son born to him in his old age. His own blood brother died years ago, and this one, Benjamin, is the only one of his mother's sons left. Our father loves him dearly, and if we leave him here, our father will surely die." Joseph felt tears welling up. He could no longer control himself, and he suddenly cried out, "All servants, leave my presence!" And so Joseph was left alone with just his brothers, who were staring at him in terrified fear. Joseph started crying. He wept so loudly that the Egyptians outside the room heard him, and later Pharaoh's household heard all about it. Joseph forced himself to stop crying and called out to his brothers in their own language, "I am Joseph.